Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Growfolds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at Lowe's out in Carrollton, Texas. As always, plant foldies, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video. It definitely helps drive engagement for the channel and grows this channel substantially, as well as following me on Instagram at Growfolds. If you want to send me a direct message or get in touch with me directly, that is the fastest way to do so. And if you like daily 1-hour plant shopping videos, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel at Growfolds with the notification bell on, so you're always updated whenever I do live premieres or update any kind of content for my YouTube channel. But as you guys can see, plant foldies, and for those that are new to the channel, welcome. I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. You can see that I am all the way out in Carrollton, Texas today. I decided to go further down south from North Dallas out to Carrollton, Texas. So this is my first time actually going to this Lowe's location. I know I frequently go to Lowe's locations out in North Dallas or just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but as far as Carrollton, Texas Lowe's, I have never been to this one. So we're going to definitely check out what plants they have to offer. I know that it is the season to see a lot of these seasonal plants, so I'm sure we'll see a bunch of crotons and chrysanthemums. So as we approach the entrance right over here, we can see that this Lowe's is just right off of the George Bush Tollway. So if you are familiar in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you can actually see that this is a Lowe's location that is right off of George Bush. But as you can see, we do have some chrysanthemums. And as I turn around over here, we see a bunch of crotons, but you would think that it's already in December or late November, but we haven't even made it out to October yet. And you can see that this Lowe's already has a bunch of holiday items. You can see that there are already a bunch of Christmas trees. So the holiday season is already in full effect. I guess that's what happens when you are in retail. But as far as the plants, I am excited to see what we have. So we walked in here, and I love the fact that this Lowe's actually has a separate indoor tropical section aside from, you know, away from just the actual main place. So there is actual natural light hitting these plants, and you can see they've got several big plants available. So there is plenty of you know, room for a lot of the plants here. You can see that we've got a bunch of crotons. So we've got some croton petras, and these ones are sourced out by Costa Farms. These are for $19.98. And everywhere you turn, plant foldies, you will see that there are a bunch of croton petras and croton plants in general. I'm passing by a bunch of large foliage plants, which we will get to in just a bit. But what I love is that they have that natural lighting for a lot of these plants. So these plants are going to definitely thrive a little bit more so if they are given the proper you know, conditions as far as like consistent watering, because the lighting is already there. But you will see that a lot of the plants you will find at Lowe's would be mostly Costa Farms urban jungle plants, as well as live trend plants. You can see that they have all of these beautiful planters here. So they've got the ones by color story. So you'll see all of the blues, the greens, the pastel colors. I am particularly drawn to this one. This has a little bit more of a more modern, minimalistic look about this planter, which is what I like. That one is for $10.98. And I've seen this planter before. This is actually a ginkgo leaf planter, and I love ginkgo trees. I would say the ginkgo tree is a favorite tree of mine. I actually have one. I have a ginkgo summer was it summer gold or summer autumn that's growing in my backyard. I've been growing it for the last 5 years, and it has put on a lot of height. And then you can see right here we've got some saucers as well to catch any of the excess water whenever you water plants. This is another planter that I like as well. That one is a really nice color. I like that gunmetal matte finish. And then if you want to actually put some plants on some of these plant stands, this one is one that I would add. I actually have this particular plant stand as well. It's just a little bit taller, and I like the fact that it's very minimalistic. But let's go ahead and take a look at these plants. So when I was filming these plants right here, I went to film around in the early or late afternoon. I don't even remember. You know, it was a whole day of filming, but you can see that there's quite a bit of light. You can see that one is a little bit of a dehydrated silver streak pothos. We see right over here in Alocasia poly. Now Alocasia poly, this one is in a self-watering planter, $15.98. You can see that there is a new leaf that recently unfurled. It hasn't fully hardened. I like the Alocasia poly. It's just that for me, this particular Alocasia is just a little bit more spider mite prone. So whenever I'm selecting plants, plant foldies, I look for potential plant pests and how I guess how susceptible they are to plant pests. Like for instance, this Epipremnum aureum golden pothos, $15.98 in a 6-inch self-watering planter. That would be one I would recommend because it's not really susceptible to pests. I would say it is, you know, potentially susceptible to like mealybugs or spider mites, but as far as actually attracting them, unless you are neglecting them, unless it is not in good health, it really won't get those pests. And then over here we have a Xanthosoma, beautiful plant. I'm noticing that this one might be a little dehydrated as well. I recently added this Xanthosoma. Now this one is a trending tropicals plant by Costa Farms. This one is for $19.84, and I ended up getting a larger version for $16.99 at a local plant nursery called Callaway's. So while most people will say that big box stores offer the most cost-effective plant pricing, you already know, if you are watching my videos on a daily basis, these big box store plant shopping videos, you'll be able to compare and contrast some of the plant pricing. So if you are on a budget, if you are a little bit more budget conscious about your plants, it's always a good idea to compare and contrast the plant pricing. You can't make these assumptions that all big box stores will have the best pricing. I would say in general, they could potentially have the best pricing, but if you ever look at some of the grocery stores, for instance, like Kroger grocery store or even local plant nurseries, you may be surprised to find that some plants are a little bit more cost effective in those venues. But as far as the consistency on plant pricing, I would say big box stores like Lowe's, they will have the same pricing for a lot of their plants. So for instance, all of the self-watering planters, for instance, by Costa Farms, are going to be $15.98, at least in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now, if you notice right here, this is a golden pothos, and you can see that this particular golden pothos has been living its best life. So clearly, this one has been at this location for quite a while because it is really trailing. There is a lot of growth right there. And, you know, if you want to get a really nice established plant, sometimes going to a big box store and buying that plant is actually a good route to go to. But you can see right here, Xanthosoma, again, this is another Costa Farms trending tropicals. All of the trending tropicals by Costa Farms typically are $19.84 at any big box store like Lowe's. You can see this one right here, beautiful foliage on the leaves, and the leaves itself really give this an interest. I always say this in my videos, but Xanthosoma remind me of like a cross between a caladium and an alocasia. Now, I've never grown one in my collection until most recently. I just added one about 3 days ago to my plant collection. I just did my pest preventative care. So what I do is I typically spray down, actually I don't typically, I always spray down my plants, the tops of the leaves, the bottoms of my leaves, in between the stems, the nodes, the surface of the soil, the bottom of the drainage hole, the sides of the planter with my DIY preventative neem oil spray. And not only does it make it super shiny for the plants, it gives it a layer of protection where that neem oil sits on the plant. It's not harmful for the plant, but it will prevent any potential pests and most likely kill pests like thrifts, mealybugs, and spider mites. So if you're going to add a plant to my, to a collection, especially at a big box store, and this is not a knock at big box stores, I love big box stores in a sense that they are accessible to most people, but there is a higher potential that there might be a plant pest if you buy a plant from a big box store as compared to a local nursery. So you want to take those preventative pest control. So if you don't make your own neem oil spray, I would always recommend buying a neem oil spray or some type of like plant insecticide, pest insecticide for the plants. I like to go more of the natural organic route versus getting some really harsh chemicals. So I end up making my own DIY spray. But as you can see right here, we've got the Kimberly ivy, and honestly, I haven't seen a lot of Kimberly ivies. offered in big box stores as of late, except for Walmart, and that was a little while back. Self-watering planter, $15.98. And according to my grandmother, who is actually the inspiration of why I've gotten into plants to begin with, if you haven't seen her video, she has a video where she goes over her plants, her plant propagation tips. That is a big box or plant shopping video for Home Depot. You can find that in the playlist. Definitely check that out. But she was able to propagate a bunch of ferns, and that's through plant division. So that's something that I really haven't delved into. That was one thing I learned from her, amongst a lot of other things besides plants. Like, I've learned a lot of values, life lessons from my grandmother. I truly love her and just really cherish her, and I'm super happy that she is healthy, of sound mind, and really just inspiring a lot of people to do, to grow plants. Thank you all for the wonderful comments you gave my grandmother. She was able to see them. It made her day. And for those that haven't seen that video, again, please check that out. It's really inspiring to see how positive this plant community is. And so if you have made it into this video this far and you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. I encourage as many comments as you'd like to for this video. It definitely helps with the engagement, as well as just getting you guys involved and really opening a friendly dialogue amongst plants. I love to respond to all of the comments you leave me, and so definitely check that out. But first and foremost, please make sure you are hitting the like button for the video. You can see that we have some Epipremnum aureum. So the first one I picked up was a golden pothos, and then this one is a not a golden pothos, I'm sorry, a neon pothos, and then this one right that I just put back on the to hang is a golden pothos. But this neon pothos, beautiful plant. It looks to be a little bit dehydrated. So if you notice, pothos plants can tolerate a little bit of underwatering, but as you can see, this plant right here is a little bit droopy. So have no fear. Once this gets watered, within a couple of hours, it will perk back up. Pothos plants in general are very durable plants. Unless you really don't water them for long periods of time, then it takes a little while for them to bounce back. But as you can see right here, since it has received quite a bit of light from that window, you can see how neon colored that is. That is with all neon plants. I say this in all my videos. You really have to give it quite a bit of light for them to really maintain that yellow neon color. Now, as far as a plant that is marketed as an easy to care for plant, this is a Sansevieria trifasciata, or what you call a snake plant, in a self-watering planter. That is a plant that is very durable, very easy, because of two factors. It is low light tolerant and drought tolerant. And then over here is a Ficus lyrata. So this one right here, $15.98 is the retail price. You can see that it has pushed out some more growth. It looks to be growing a little bit more compact than the typical Ficus lyrata. So they might have a Ficus lyrata bambino. I have two versions of this Ficus lyrata, or what you call the fiddle fig leaf tree. This one, it seems to be the more compact version. And then we also have the large form, which that's what I have. I ended up finding one for 99 cents in a 6-inch planter at a local grocery store called Sprouts. So as I reiterate, you have to really do your plant shopping. You have to do sometimes some window shopping to check it out. Or if you just want me to do the legwork, especially if you live out in the North Dallas area, subscribe to this YouTube channel with all of the notification bell on, and you will be, up to date daily, literally daily, for plant pricing that is coming out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then over here, we have a shingle vine plant right here, or a Rhaphidophora Hayi. Now, I'm not really as interested in the shingle plant for this reason. I really don't want to have like planks to grow a lot of these vining plants. And maybe that's the reason why I don't have like a lot of Syndapsis, because I know that they would rather grow on a plank. Now, as far as certain Philodendron, obviously, I understand that they do need like poles, something of that nature, but actually having a full-blown plank, notice how once it doesn't touch the plank, the leaves get smaller. So like, I don't know what that would look like for me long-term if I had a shingle plant. And then over here, these are for $30.98. These are bonsai. I would really call these more so pre-bonsai, which means these are plants that are not really curated, trimmed to have a really good shape, nor is the actual like bonsai pot, really a bonsai pot. Like I would rather have a little bit more shallow of a pot, but it is a good starter pre-bonsai if you want to get into that. So bonsai, it is another world of plant care. It is something that I am truly into. I just haven't really gotten into it. And the thing about it is I want to make sure that this particular YouTube channel, that the niche really does stay within the indoor tropical houseplants. I do delve into outdoor gardening, landscaping, and whatnot, but for those that have subscribed to the channel, I know that most of you guys are plant lovers, but for the most part, I want to just continue to cover big box store plant shopping videos. And I know that you guys hear this from me in the, since for the, I guess the last 2 weeks where I am working on that houseplant tour. It's in the work. I'm definitely working on it. It will definitely appear on the YouTube channel once I just upload it. I may not even make an announcement, so that's why it's really imperative, if you are already subscribed to the channel, to double check if you have the notifications bell on. That way, if I do a pop-up for my houseplant videos, you are instantly notified. So definitely check that out. And then as far as calatheas, so here's a story. About a week ago, I ended up buying some really large calatheas for $18.88. They're still doing well. So I'm going to give you guys an update. They're still doing well. Just know that calatheas are a very challenging plant to grow long-term indoors because of a couple of factors. Number one, they are very much spider mite prone. They are a little bit more sensitive to the type of water you give it. So anything that has a little bit more chlorine in the water will definitely give it some more brown tips on the leaves. And then as far as humidity, they require a little bit more humidity. Otherwise, they start to get a little crispy as well. So lots of factors that make them a little bit more of a challenging plant, but if you're able to overcome those challenges, they will reward you with some of the most stunning and beautiful foliage that a plant can offer. So there is a drawback, but there's also pros to some of these plants. I would say the plants that are most challenging tend to give you some really beautiful foliage. Calatheas are an example, for instance, and alocasia. But if you figure out the growing plant care and you're able to provide them that consistent environment that they crave, they will reward you with so many beautiful leaves. Now over here, Hoya carnosa Crimson Princess. This is in a hanging basket, a 6-inch hanging basket for $16.98. And as far as Hoyas are concerned, very forgiving and easy to care for plants, more so than I first realized. And the reason why I say they're forgiving is they are very drought tolerant. I have literally not watered in a Hoya for about a month, and it was still able to bounce back after I watered it. So Hoyas are for me. And then same thing with this Dracaena Dorado. So I feature this often. This one is for $12.98 in a 6-inch starter planter. You can see this one has a little bit more larger foliage. Such an underrated plant, such a plant that most people don't really add into their collection. I think a lot of people who end up putting a Dracaena in their plant collection typically utilize it for like an office space or a space that would just be more for interior decorating versus just growing the plant to add into a collection. I say let's go ahead and start a trend and start buying Dracaenas because they deserve our attention. They're very durable and easy to care for plants. And then over here, we've got a Dieffenbachia. So this is also for $12.98. I actually like this Dieffenbachia right here because of the variegation. I do have one. It's growing outdoors in a shaded area, and it's doing fairly well for me. I feel like Dieffenbachia need to be outdoors when they're growing because they like to get a lot of light. They do not really like lower light conditions. If you give them lower light conditions, they potentially become more leggy. In general, though, as Dieffenbachia grow and become more mature, they become a little bit more cane-like, more leggy. That's just really their natural habit when they start to mature. But it is a plant that, at first I really didn't want to add to my collection because it is very much a spider mite prone magnet of a plant. But look at how beautiful the colors are. They've got some light foliage here, and you can see that it is just a stunning plant. It is a plant, though, that a lot of people will say they've sent to plant heaven. I am one that has sent plenty to plant heaven, but I recently bought one that was on sale for $39.99. It must be at least a good 5 feet tall when I purchased it, and that was a really good plant find when I went to a local nursery. But as far as Dieffenbachia, I told myself I wouldn't really add them, but you can see right here there are two different different versions. Leave in the comments which one would you like. Do you like the one this one right over here, or do you like this one right here? Leave in the comments, or leave in the comments if you like both. But both of them, if I was actually going to buy plants today, I would definitely buy both of those. But I have been spending quite a bit of money on my plants. I say this like every 2 to 3 videos, plant foldies. I have to laugh at myself. Sometimes I really just can't take myself seriously when I talk about I'm going broke with plants, because I put myself in a situation where definitely if you're in a big box store literally daily, or a local nursery, I mean, the potential of spending money is substantially higher than maybe somebody who's just watching my YouTube videos. At least I can inspire and influence you, but you're not necessarily in the big box store. I, on the other hand, have to really practice restraint in terms of purchasing plants and really looking at my budget whenever I am filming content for y'all. And I love it. Literally, I am going more so on 10 months now, where I have made pretty much daily plant shopping videos, at least an hour. And I have to be really excited about that, because the amount of work that I have to put in makes it worth it, because I've seen so many people just get a lot out of my content. And again, plant foldies, I always like to take the time to say thank you again for that, for those that continue to tune into my live premieres, even when I am a little bit late. Normally, I like to get them up by 7 o'clock, but I have had premieres as late as 9, and you guys still get on the live premiere chats, and that to me is very heartwarming. It's very inspiring, and it continues to make me want to come out, drive all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area, edit these videos late at night to upload and get ready for y'all. So let's continue to have that plant party. Again, if you made it this far into the video, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as it helps grow my channel. And, you know, as far as these crotons, this right here is a croton bush on fire. As you can see, this is an example of a plant that's been in a big box store for quite some time, because literally the roots are popping out of the plant. I mean, if you see a plant and there's roots that are coming out of the drainage holes, that's honestly a good sign, because you know that that plant has really established. It has actually acclimated into a big box store environment. So for the most part, that plant is going to be healthy. I mean, right here, this is a Hydra helix, or what you call a Hedera helix curly locks. And then this is another Hydra helix. That one is a Hedera helix spear point ivy. You already know, if you've been watching this video on a daily basis, I love my Hedera helix, or the way I say it, Hydra helix. I know some people might find that a little bit cringe. I have to actually smile, because it is just funny to me. And for the diehard plant foldies that like to count how many times I say that, I've said it 3 times already in the video. So I'm going to make it a little bit easy for you today. And as you can see, plant foldies, I like to show you some of the products I use for my fertilizer. So I do use that orchid mist by Miracle Grow, and I also use the indoor plant food liquid fertilizer by Miracle Grow. It's a very mild Miracle Grow fertilizer, so literally I'll drop just like 1 drop into my watering can, and that's it. And I will water my plants daily, especially when it is growing season. I don't mind giving them just a very trace amount of that fertilizer. I feel like just a little nutrient won't burn the roots, won't burn the foliage. They won't overdose on it. I just feel like it's actually been very beneficial for them. And then now we're going to take a look at these exotic angel planters. These ones are typically $7.98 at Lowe's. You can see that this is another type of croton, and as a fall season really goes into full effect, we will continue to see a bunch of crotons. When I didn't make plant shopping videos or plant blogs, however you want to call it, I never paid attention about some of the seasonality of plants, but you can see right here, crotons are the rage. This croton has so many roots just busting out. So like, this is a prime example of a croton that is healthy, that has probably been at this big box store for about a month and a half or even longer. And I'm happy because it hasn't made it into plant heaven. It hasn't been clearanced out, because it's actually pretty healthy looking. And you can see right here, this is another example of a 5-inch planter by Costa Farms. These are for $7.98. This is a Dracaena Dorado. Very easy plant. It is another plant. I'm telling you, plant foldies, we need to add into our collection. And really, we should be adding these crotons. Like, this is a very common croton. This is called a croton gold dust. Now, I ended up sending mine to Plant Heaven because I didn't really water it a lot. I didn't realize that they were a little bit more of a thirsty plant, and I didn't give it the best lighting conditions when grown indoors. So I'm gonna try to actually collect crotons this fall season. I am inspired. I ended up buying some large chrysanthemums at Callaway's Nursery. But as far as crotons, I'm definitely gonna purchase them, and I'm hoping that I can grow them long term. Just like my grandmother, she's had a couple that she's grown for years. And as far as an easy to care for plant, let's talk about peace lily or spathiphyllum. Super low light tolerant. The only drawback with this plant is it's just a dramatic plant. I wouldn't say you could actually send this to Plant Heaven if you don't water it consistently, but if you don't water it like on a daily basis, it will definitely droop and look like it's about to go to Plant Heaven. But then when you water it, it instantly perks up within like an hour or two. So very interesting plant. Those are the types of plants though that I don't really add to my collection, because I know that if I have a plant that I have to water daily, knowing my daily lifestyle, my daily plant routines, it's just not going to fit that. And I think a lot of us plant lovers, and I say plant lovers because I really do feel like even if some of the new subscribers are just beginner plants, you love plants. A lot of us want to grow plants and want to add as many plants as possible to our collection, but I want us to take the time to really step back and think about how much time you have to invest to grow plants whenever you're going big box or plant shopping, or just plant shopping in general, for instance. Please, really assess how many plants you already have in your plant collection, how much time it takes to actually water certain plants, what your lighting conditions look like, what your budget is going to look like long term, and see if that plant is really worth bringing into your plant collection. You know, my brother recently got a baby Chow Chow dog, and he wanted to get me one. And for the longest time, I didn't add any pets. And I know for the reason being is because if you bring, say, a dog, you have to invest so much time. That is literally like bringing a child, and just the cost that it would have long term. I've actually looked at, plants. It's a little bit different. So obviously that's a little bit more of an extreme example. But as far as looking at the long-term effects of growing plants, you got to think about how much money you're spending on the soil, how much money you spend on a pest preventative spray, fertilizers, grow lights, etc. It does become a costly hobby, and that's not me trying to discourage anybody. And I know that I'm not talking about the syngoniums right now. So if, sometimes I utilize a lot of these plant shopping videos to really just give you my plant insights. But as far as, I guess what I'm trying to say is, as of late, I've actually thought about certain, the long-term costs about plants. I would say if the long-term cost about plants, if the amount of time you're investing in plants is worth the joy that they provide, then I wouldn't overthink it. I just, want to encourage people to kind of take a look at it. And the reason why I say it is I have actually, done some of my research. I've watched some of the older YouTube plant content creators where they were literally spending thousands and thousands of dollars. They were literally adding hundreds of plants. And I've seen the big burnout that they've had. There were some actual plant content YouTubers that do not even do YouTube content anymore. It's a little disappointing, but when I think about just the amount of time that was invested, the amount of money that was invested in, maintaining those plants, I just don't want to get into a situation, for instance, where I get burnt out. And I would say maybe some of us have been in there where we've actually been burned out. So I've been looking at, maybe downsizing certain plants. And when I say downsizing certain plants, maybe avoiding purchasing certain plants or even gifting certain plants to friends. I would say my plant collection, as I look at all of these exotic angel plants by Costa Farms, for instance, has actually been manageable. It's been a little bit more intentional. Now you can see here, this is another Hydra Helix. This one is a mini ivy Hydra Helix. This one is for $7.90, or actually no, $5.98. And this actually is an ivy that I have considered bringing back into my collection. And here's the reason why. Its growth pattern is a little bit more mini, so you can see it's a little bit more compact, beautiful variegation, and I feel like the smaller varieties of English ivy would be more manageable. But as you can see, or as you can tell, I know that I look at English ivy and have a little bit more caution when it comes to actually bringing them in my collection. Like this Tradescanthia, it's a beautiful plant, but you know, as far as Tradescanthia, they're pretty, but I feel like at least the ones I've had in my collection, they tend to get really leggy and then they start to not look good. And yes, you can chop them back and, you know, have, you know, encourage a little bit more compact growth. But I don't feel like that particular plant for me is something that I want to grow long term. The only Tradescanthia I have in my collection that I want to grow long term would be a Tradescanthia Nanook, because it tends to have larger foliage. It's got absolutely beautiful you know, pink coloration, and it doesn't get as leggy as some of the other varieties. And then as far as crotons, again, you know, it's one of those things where you find a plant, you know that it's a beautiful plant, you know that it is seasonal, and all of a sudden you want to pick up and buy them. I found myself wanting to spend like $80 the other day by buying like 4 different versions, but I you know, practice some restraint. It really depends on how I've organized my plants. So as you can see, plant foldies, it is a matter of just thinking about your intentional plant collection. Like I do plan on adding some crotons to my collection, not only for the season. I mean, I think they would make some beautiful patio displays, but I know where I would actually place them when winter comes. You know, winter is coming. For those that are actual fans of like Game of Thrones, winter is coming, and when winter comes, all of the plants that we grow, we have to overwinter them. We have to find a space for them. What I want to do with my garage is I actually have a ton of like planters. It's really disorganized, but if I'm able to organize them, I may be able to actually grow my plants in my garage, you know, put a heater there, some humidifier, some grow lights, and have a whole growing like I guess greenhouse in my my garage. So that is going to be another project, but my number one project is to really get my plant room organized, to get my house cleaned up, organized, and continue to film my houseplant collection tour. I know you guys have been patiently waiting for that since last winter. Well, hopefully I can get you guys one soon, so just stay tuned for that. And then as you guys can see right here, I know plant folies, I've actually talked more so about plant insights versus the plants this episode, so bear with me. But you can see Philodendron heteroecium, Brazil, beautiful plant. And then we have another Philodendron heteroecium. The green form, this heart-shaped leaf philodendron, is a classic plant. It's a plant that, you know, most of the time will be marketed as a trailing plant, but really this is a plant that you want to grow up a totem pole, a moss pole, a plank, because if you do, it will give you a really large foliage leaves. You will actually see the full potential of the plant. It is absolutely stunning. And for those that have not seen my plant videos of Plant Keeper Incorporated, it's under my Dallas Fort Worth nurseries playlist, big box store plant shopping alternatives. Definitely check that out. You'll see some large foliage of Philodendron heteroeciums. Here is a classic rabbit's foot fern. That's an easy one to grow as well if you're going to look at ferns. And then you know, I picked up already another purple waffle plant, but this is another plant that for $7.98, it is fairly established. Love the dark foliage plant. It's a very interesting plant. It's a very thirsty plant. I actually watered my Snow White waffle plant that I ended up giving another chance by purchasing one. Like, I want to go ahead and slowly buy back the purple waffle plant as well as the Belgian waffle plant. The only thing is, very thirsty plant and they need higher humidity levels. But with my plant room already set up, I'm just happy that I am able to provide more humidity. And I'm actually looking at this Syngonium berry illusion. Beautiful plant. If you look at the veining of the new leaf that it unfurls, what a gorgeous pink reddish veining that it has. Syngoniums are plants that I have been adding a lot more so to my plant collection, because syngoniums are actually my first love. They are they're always going to be my number one plant, even though I always kind of fall out of love and then I fall back in love with these plants. And the reason being is Syngonium is actually the first houseplant I've ever grown. I actually got a Syngonium white butterfly that as a kid, I think I was in elementary school, picked up one from Target of all places, big box store Target, when they really sold a bunch of like houseplants. And I ended up growing it in a bathroom that didn't have light, but for some reason it still thrived. So like that was a really interesting plant. And then you can see right over here, plant foldies, we've got a beautiful Palea Dark Mystery. This one is for $7.98 in a 5-inch starter planter. And you know, there are 3 different types of starter planters, or actually 2 different types, sorry, that Costa Farms offers. They have the 3.5 inch and then they have the 5.5 inch ones. Typically, the 3.5 inch starter planters, at least at Lowe's, are $5.98. Some other big box store retailers will sell them for a little bit less. I've seen them as low as $4. So again, it depends on which big box store you're shopping at for some of these plants. I would say if you want really inexpensive, trending tropical self-watering planters, the 6-inch ones, the cheapest place or the most inexpensive place to buy them would be at Kroger grocery store. They would be for $16.99 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at least, versus the $19.84 that you would spend at another big box store. But either way, there are, you know, different plants that you can pick from. And I've noticed that a lot of the exotic angel plants are pretty much the same at this location. So we've got different sizes of peace lilies, and I do want to add a peace lily to my collection, but I want one that is highly variegated if I'm going to add that to my collection. You can see right here, this is the Moon Valley Palea. This one has some really interesting texture. This is one that I would probably add to my collection, but I would add it as a terrarium type plant. I have projects where I want to create a terrarium with my lampshade. That's actually a lamp that's clear. I used to have a terrarium setting, so hopefully I can get that set up again. I do have one where it is like a terrarium lampshade, and it has leca balls, and I have global green pothos cuttings that have been propagated and are growing a little bit more miniature, and it's actually doing well for me. There's no maintenance. It's literally sitting there with leca balls, water, and humidity, and it's still growing. So I love that. And then over here, plant foldies, take a look at this Syngonium Maria. Look at that new leaf that's unfurling. It is so cool. I love that caramel brown tone that it has. And then with Syngonium Maria, more light will make it actually a more dark chocolate look to it. So it looks like this one may either haven't gotten a lot of light, but Syngonium Maria is another common Syngonium you'll find at a big box store. Typically, Costa Farms will actually release this particular exotic angel plant, and I have to hand it to Costa Farms. So, you know, Costa Farms sometimes will have some people that have some negative things to say about that particular plant nursery, but as far as the accessibility for a lot of these house plants, they are the reason why a lot of us are able to get all of these houseplants at an affordable price. Some people will say that, you know, big box stores take away from local plant nurseries. I would say if you truly think that, then we need to support local plant nurseries. But some people, like a lot of our viewers, may not necessarily have local plant nurseries or small businesses to attend. All they have are big box stores. So I just feel like there is a balance between buying plants at a big box store and supporting small businesses in local nurseries. You already know that the majority of my content is big box store plants. However, I spend actually a lot more money buying plants from a small business or a big a local nursery is what I'm trying to say. And you can see that from all of the content I've also created. You know, if I'm going to recommend local plant shops in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, number one, I would recommend going to Peta's Planters. David and Lupita have an amazing plant shop out there. I would also recommend Callaway's Nursery chain of nurseries. Even though it is a chain of local nurseries, it is one that I frequent. I would also go to Rubal's nursery. I would also go to Plants and Planters. and then also Plant Keeper. Those are some of the places I would recommend because they have a lot of plants. But as far as this Lowe's in Carrollton, Texas, I am impressed at the setup that they have. They have quite a bit of the same plants. However, that would be my only critique. And I don't know if it's because they haven't gotten any restocks, but there are some Lowe's that actually have quite a bit of, say, trending tropical plants. I haven't seen a lot of trending tropical plants at this location, but they have a fair amount of healthy plants. There are a couple of plants that are a little bit questionable, but like that Philodendron hederaceum right there, nice looking Philodendron hederaceum. And then we can just see right here, and I'm just going to keep picking up some plants. Like this one right here is a Dracaena Janet Craig compacta. So I'll just keep showing you some of these exotic angel plants by Costa Farms. So as far as a trending tropical plant that we see I guess Costa Farms has really released are all of these Epiprimnum aureum lemon meringue pothos. This is in a self-watering planter again for $19.84. I am thankful that Costa Farms has been releasing quite a bit of new plants. Now, as far as the new releases that they've had, I've seen some more aglaonemas make it into the market, some geo plants, and then just a surplus of these pothos plants. Now, live trends, now we're looking at some of the live trends plants. This one is a new type of planter, at least one that I haven't seen. This is what you call a red marantha or a prayer plant. Really like this plant. Look at the veining of the leaves, and this is a plant that is similar to a calathea, but I feel like it's less finicky. It's still a challenging plant to grow indoors, but as far as calatheas versus maranthas, I feel like maranthas have a little bit more durability. And then you can see right here, this is another Epiprimnum aureum lemon meringue pothos. Here's the thing about lemon meringue pothos. So it looks similar to a global green pothos, that green on green variegation, but this one has more of a yellow aurea tone about it. This is a prime example though of a pothos plant that doesn't really have the most stable variegation, so you have to give it quite a bit of light for it to really push out that yellow variegation. Otherwise it becomes more of a subtle green on green variegation. So if you are going to grow a lemon meringue pothos, you want to make sure that you are growing it in a condition that either is at a western facing window, a south facing window, or under a grow light. That's the kind of lighting you want to give it if you want to grow this plant and really push out that variegation. Now, if you just want to put it in a lower light condition, it will still survive. I wouldn't say it would thrive, but it will still live and it'll do okay for you. I don't think that it will give you the best growth. It's already a slower growing pothos as compared to the golden pothos right here. Now, this one is for $15.98 in a self-watering planter. With golden pothos, there are varying degrees of variegation. If you look at a golden Hawaiian pothos, it is highly variegated, and then you have these medium variegated pothos. Some of them are even as close to like a jade pothos where it's mostly green, and it looks like Costa Farms must have just released a crop of geo plants, because you can see geo plants being even sourced out at big box like other big box stores and local nurseries. I ended up purchasing this plant, and I watched a Costa Farms video. I've been watching a lot of the Costa Farms plant hunter video series when they actually release the plant and give care tips. So I would recommend even checking out Costa Farms YouTube channel. But what I learned about geo plants are they are a thirsty plant. They do like humidity. This plant actually perspirates, so it actually releases moisture from its leaves. Therefore, it does make it more of a finicky plant. But when you touch the plant. It's actually very thick and rubbery. So you would think that this plant actually is a little bit more drought tolerant. It is not. So you want to make sure that you don't let the soil dry out completely. It is a beautiful plant. You know, dark foliage plants, there is an element of like elegance, I believe, when you get a dark foliage plant. It is a really nice plant that you can put right next to a plant, maybe like a pink plant or a plant that has like much lighter foliage to really get that contrast. And you can see right here we have some ZZ plants. This ZZ plant right here, $15 again and 98 cents. Beautiful new foliage that's coming out. You can see that it's got that neon green color about it. Really like the look of that that ZZ plant as well. It's another one I would recommend. It is another plant that I feel like it's very much underrated. I think a lot of people will look at a ZZ plant as like a basic plant since it's not like a variegated plant, but it is a plant that I feel like won't give you a headache. I feel like it will grow easily in your plant collection. Same thing with an Aglaonema red Siam. And plant foldies, here is an example of a really nice Aglaonema red Siam. You've got several plants in a pot. Look at the pink stems, the pink red stems, $15.98. And I'm actually super tempted to purchase one from this location because I can see that they have several varieties of them. So I'm going to take a lot of these out and show you the selection. Let me know in the comment section, plant foldies, which Aglaonema red Siam you would pick. And also, if you made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you. And then second of all, if you haven't hit the like button, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video. But you can see plant foldies, we've got 3 varieties already to choose from. They're all very full. You can see that there is a 4th one right here. I'm just going to keep picking more. You can see that there are a lot of them. Here is the 5th one. That one has a lot of plants in one, but all of them are really good specimens of Aglaonema red Siam. You know, the thing about Aglaonema is that they can get leggy. And so if you're able to find one that is really bushy from the base of the plant, that is a good idea. But you can see that there are many Aglaonema red Siams that you can pick from this location. You can see that is the 6th one that I found right there. And that one looks really nice as well. It makes me tempted to like buy all of them and then put them in one large planter. That would be super cool. Or at least get 3 of them and then put them in like an 8-inch planter or a 10-inch planter and really get a nice full plant. Aglaonemas, they do shoot out what you call pups or little babies. So you can propagate Aglaonema from plant separation as well. My grandmother typically does that rather than doing stem cuttings. And then over here, we have some African violets. So as far as African violets, I'll have to tell you that I tend to want to collect African violets that have a little bit variegation versus just a green one, because once the African violet is out of bloom, I feel like there's not enough interest for me to really want to keep them. So it having, I guess, the variegation is why I want to go ahead and grow variegated African violets. So when it is out of bloom, you can see that there is still leaf interest. And I did want to show you these lucky bamboo, or that's what they're called, but they're actually not bamboo. They are Dracaena. They're part of the Dracaena family. This is a Dracaena sandriana. These are also thought to give you good luck and fortune. So you can see that this has just a bunch of different types of Dracaena sandriana. Now with this plant, you want to make sure that it does remain a little bit more wet. If you let it dry out too completely, it will not be a good thing for this plant. This plant actually is usually grown in hydroponics, which is basically straight water. It can survive in that. Now it does need bright indirect light. You don't want to give it full sun, otherwise it'll end up burning. And it is one of the easiest plants to take care of. I think for those that are really superstitious or like anything that has like Lucky Charms, this would be a plant that you could add. This is often seen at a lot of Asian grocery stores or Asian shops because it is thought to be one that gives good luck. But you can see this is the braided form, and these are by Costa Farms as well. then you can see we've got some blooming anthuriums right here, $13.98. You can see that the planter, it's a different one. I like it. I just wish that maybe they didn't have like the patterns on it. I would have preferred just a very simplistic planter. I do like the matte finish for it, and I really like this yellow color. It's almost like the Costa Farms logo color. I really like this deep yellow, this golden yellow. Beautiful plant. I just wish that the there wasn't any like actual texture on it. I would have preferred it to just be a very smooth surface, a matte finish, but you know, I that's just my personal aesthetic. I like more of the minimalistic look for the planters. I feel like the minimalistic look for the planter actually enhances the plant. It doesn't become a distraction. But you know, sometimes planters with patterns, really cool textures also give the plant more character. So it really just depends on, I suppose, your plant I guess your plant aesthetic. But as far as this particular plant, I love blooming anthuriums. One of the easiest plants to take care of. They're very durable as well, very tolerant of negligence. But again, it is another plant that if you can provide it with bright indirect light, it'll give you more blooms. And I just love the, you know, the foliage, the deep green that it has. They can get fairly large as well. And, you know, as far as blooming anthuriums, you know, this is a common plant that you will find at any big box store, grocery store, or local nursery, but they have different varieties of blooms as well. So I tend to like the pink blooms. And then you can see right here, live trends plants. I haven't seen quite a bit of live trend plants for Lowe's, but this one is a Horthia. And again, with Horthias, even though it is a succulent type plant, it can tolerate lower light conditions, which is actually surprising considering that the general rule of thumb for succulents are lots of bright light, sometimes even full sun. But as I pan away here, all of these large foliage plant, I mean, this is actually a pretty big size area to house plants. So I'm surprised that they have lots of large plants, but not necessarily the smaller varieties. So I don't know if they're just, you know, re-merchandising it to where they don't have as many of the plants. But as you can see right here, Plant Foldies, we have several plants by Live Trends and Urban Jungle. So there's usually an end cap full of them. You can see right here, this is a self-watering planter. This one is a lighter Haworthia. It's got more of that mint look about it. Really nice plant. And it is self-watering. And so some people, they do better with self-watering planters. It kind of takes the guessing game of watering plants. It keeps the soil, the surface of the soil dry, which means you won't actually have like potential plant pests like fungus gnats being able to lay their eggs. So that's, you know, a plus for it. And then you can see right here, Urban Jungle. I could see that there's a U and a J etched into it. I have never seen that type of planter. I do love the look of a terracotta finish or a terracotta pot. So that's really nice. That's a Dracaena. And then right over here is a palm. And, you know, again, with palms, I'm not really interested in palms because they do require quite a bit of light. They can be mealy bug prone. So there's just some factors for palms that I don't want to add to my collection, and they just take up a lot of space. But really, it's the lighting and space constraints that, you know, deter me from really wanting to add palms in my houseplant collection. Now, as far as peperomias, very durable plants. This is a Peperomia obtusifolia. This one, again, is for $13.98. So a lot of these 4.5-inch planters that Costa Farms, Urban Jungles offers. It's a really good value for it. Like this one right here is a Philodendron Moonlight. Love that neon colored leaf. This is another Philodendron. You need to give quite a bit of light for it to really hold on to the neon colors. And you can see there's a second one right over here. This is another Philodendron Moonlight. I love that that Urban Jungle has the U and the J etched into it. I do like Urban Jungle plants. A lot of the Urban Jungle plants I purchase are typically Alocasias because they offer quite a bit of Alocasias for a really good value. But, you know, as far as like easy to care for plants, like this is another Sansevieria plant, $13.98. I would recommend it because it is low light tolerant, it is drought tolerant, and it's very easy to take care of. You can put that in a lower light setting and it will survive. Now, as far as thriving, again, you want to give it bright indirect light. And then I'm just going to show you these planters, these super cute live transplanters, $9.98. I guess this is a hedgehog, and you can see that these are a bunch of air plants. Now, where air plants, they are live plants. They are plants that you literally just have to soak in water, drench in water, pull out and let it dry, and that's how you water the plant. Plant foldies, you can see that, you know, Live's Trends, they always have some really nice planters. They have some very seasonally relevant planters. And as I pan away over here, this is a pretty large space for the plants. But you know what? My only critique for this Lowe's is I feel like they have a lot of large space, but as far as like the variety of plants, they don't have nearly as much as some of the other Lowe's where they literally have smaller space, but they are packed with different varieties of plants. Like this one right here, Philodendron Birkin. It's another philodendron that has become quite common. You notice that this one doesn't have nearly as much striping or variegation. So that particular philodendron, you want to give it quite a bit of light. And then I do love this Live Trends planter. Like it does have texture, but I love how it's very intentional, very modern looking. And even though the plant, I'm not really a fan of this plant. This one's for $24.98. I am a fan of this planter. That would be a planter I would add to my collection. I really like how intentional the texture is, how modern it's looking. And then you can see right here, these are the classic Urban Jungle ceramic hanging basket planters. This is an Epipremnum Aria Marble Queen Pothos. You already know the drill if you've been watching my plants shopping videos. The care tips for a Marble Queen Pothos, if you want that variegation, you definitely have to give it quite a bit of light. Now, you know, as far as Marble Queen, there are different variations of the I guess the variegation. More light becomes more of like a Snow Queen Pothos where it literally holds on to the white variegation. Now this one's a neon Pothos. Again, one of my favorite Pothos. It's probably in the top 3 for my Pothos classics just because I love neon color plants, and this one is an easy, fast growing plant. And then you can see right next to it we have the golden Pothos. So we have the golden Pothos, the neon Pothos, and the Marble Queen Pothos. These are all in ceramic hanging basket planters for $14.98 by Urban Jungle. And these are the classic Pothos. All 3 of them are very common to find, very easy. I highly recommend buying all 3 and adding them to your collection. And I'm actually working on a Pothos project where I am cutting up a bunch of different types of Pothos cuttings and then propagating them, and I'm going to put them in a mixed planter. You can see right here, this is another Live Trends hanging basket. This one's for $16.98. I do like how it's very minimalistic. This is a Philodendron Brantianum. Now with Philodendron Brantianum, it is a little bit more of a finicky plant. I've noticed that a lot of you know, retailers are wanting to sell this as a hanging basket, but really a Philodendron Brantianum wants to climb. It also likes a lot of humidity, which makes this plant a little bit more challenging to grow indoors long term unless you can provide them those in that environment. And then you can see right here, plant foldies, we've got a Philodendron Hederaceum, just a green form, beautiful plant. This is again for $16.98. So, you know, plant foldies, as far as the plants that I've featured at this big box store, please let me know in the comments which plants you like, which plants you purchased since watching my plant shopping videos. I'd really like to know in the comments. As always, I love that engagement, and I hope that you'll take the time to engage with me. But as you can see right here, plant foldies, this is actually one of my favorite plants. I finally added a small starter plant to my collection. This is what you call a flame violet or an Especia plant. Similar care tips to an African violet, and you can see that you can propagate them easily because they push out little babies that you can chop off from the mother plant and propagate directly into soil or water. I do have some exciting news. So yesterday, I was confirmed to be a plant influencer at the Texas Aroid Show out in Houston, Texas, October 26th. The tickets are on sale, so please check out my Instagram stories as well as my YouTube community for a direct link. But if you're able to make a road trip out to Houston, Texas, or if you are a viewer in Houston, please consider going to the Texas Aroid Show. I will be there. If you want to meet me there, I will be wearing a Grow Folds t-shirt, but I am super Thankful, super honored that I was chosen to be a plant influencer at the Texas Aroid Show. I've never really thought of myself as a plant influencer. I literally just love, you know, filming plants. Even though I haven't really done a face reveal, it's just interesting, and really I'm thankful to the Texas Aroid Show organization for reaching out to me and really taking care of me. I will definitely get you guys lots of content for that Texas Aroid Show. I want to make sure that I get hours and hours of content, so that way, you know, for those that can't make it to a plant convention or a plant show, you'll at least get that that experience to see it, even if it's just through my lens. Hopefully people are able to purchase some Texas Aroid plant show tickets. They are really cost effective. I think general admission tickets are not that much. They also have a family pack and a buddy pack, so definitely check out for that link. And if you're interested, send me a direct message on Instagram, especially if you are a Houston plant foldie. I would love to do a Houston plant foldie meetup. I will be there Friday for the setup, and then I will definitely be there all day for the show. The show is on October 26th again. It starts from 11 to 6. Now, I don't know if they have the early access tickets or the VIP tickets, but if you are wanting to buy plants, I would recommend getting the early access tickets if you want to avoid the crowds, because it's going to be super busy, or I feel like any plant shop, you know, plant show would be busy. I would get the VIP tickets. I feel like that the extra cost is definitely worth the more intimate experience. But going back to the plants, so you know, that there you go, that's some exciting news for you guys plant foldies. Definitely let other plant foldies know, spread the word about Texas Aroid Show. There's going to be some amazing plant vendors as well. But as you can see right here, Live Trends is actually releasing some croton plants in some really nice planters. Like this one right here is a croton that I would add to my collection, or I feel like I have it already. Again, with crotons, you do need to grow these out in full sun or lots of light. They prefer to be outdoors. So just definitely add that to your collection, but just know that you have to give it quite a bit of light. But as you can see, plant foldies, there's not as many plants from Urban Jungle and Live Trends as compared to some of the other Lowe's I visited out in the North Dallas area. But, you know, needless to say, there's still quite a bit of plants you can pick. These are the typical big box store plants that you will find. But, you know, what I like about big box store plants are they are typically cost effective and they're readily accessible to the average plant lover like myself. But as you can see here, I'm just going to pan around and show you all of the large foliage plants. We're going to go ahead and see what they have in the outdoor section in just a second. But lots of croton plants. Hopefully, plant foldies, you've enjoyed this installment. You know, this is my first time at this Lowe's location. I am trying to venture out to other locations to just give you a little bit more diverse content, even though it is the same plants we are seeing basically every evening when I do a live premiere. I do think that there is something to be said about different locations. We can kind of compare and contrast and see which locations have a little bit better selection, a better, you know, merchandising, etc., etc. Now, this one right here is another Dieffenbachia, and you can see that these Dieffenbachia can get large, and I just love the patterns and coloration of some Dieffenbachias. You can really find that they have like the little polka dots or speckling on them, and I find that a little bit endearing. And you can see here again, plant foldies, we've got some ZZ plants, we've got some crotons right over here. This one is a croton mame, so it's got more of a strap leaf, narrow leaf, and then we have a beautiful Aglaonema Silver Bay, and I always recommend Aglaonemas, especially that particular one. Dracaena marginata, this is another plant that is a Dracaena. I would say it's a little bit more finicky than the typical Dracaena because of the really thin leaves. Sometimes the tips of the leaves get a little bit brown, but it's still an easy to care for plant. It is low light tolerant, and it's got an interesting texture. So if you want a taller plant to add to your plant collection, that would be a plant I would recommend. But as far as all of the plants we've seen so far, it is a beautiful afternoon out at this Lowe's in Carrollton, Texas. So definitely check this location out if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I do intend to keep filming more locations just to get you guys some more diversity of just locations in general. And you can see plant foldies. It is full fall season right now. So we're just going to quickly walk out here and see that we have a bunch of crotons. We've got a bunch of pumpkins right over here. So I love fall colors. I really do like the oranges, the yellows, the reds, the browns, the caramels, the tans. all of it. It's a really nice, you know, fall feeling. You know, if you like fall, this is definitely, you know, places where you can actually see some really nice displays. As you can see right here, again, plant foldies, we've got quite a bit of croton plants. You know, in Southeast Asia where it is native, these plants can grow in full sun. They can grow into full-blown trees, and you know, it's just interesting. But anyways, plant foldies, I really hope that you have enjoyed this plant shopping video. It is my first time again going to this Lowe's. You can see that they have quite a bit of plants already. I love it a lot, and just seeing all of these crotons, I mean, they just bring me so much joy here. I am really inspired to purchase some, so when the time is right this fall, I will purchase some. You can see that they have them in full sun and they're doing very well. If you like this video, please hit the like button for this video. It definitely helps me out if you haven't already, as well as you know, subscribing to my YouTube channel with the notification bell on. That way you will be informed whenever I do live premieres. As always, plant foldies, this is Richie at Growfolds. You already know I will have a brand new video tomorrow. I'll see you then.